Mrs. Dixon, please.
Ellie, what are you doing calling people up at this time of the night?
Well, will you please ask her to call Mrs. Banks the minute she comes in? I have some very important news to tell her. Ruth Dixon would not forgive me if I didn't tell her right away. You know, I think I'll give Kay a baby shower. We could have it on a Saturday, and you could ask the men to come in after.
Ellie, do we really have to blazon this thing from the housetops?
Huh?
You know, after all, it really isn't our affair.
Stanley, what's the matter with you? I swear you act as though you almost didn't like the idea.
I don't.
Why, Stanley? For heaven's sake, why?
I'll tell you why, exactly why. In the first place, they haven't got room enough for a baby. The little apartment they live in isn't big enough for the two of them, much less a baby.
But they can always...
Second place, they can't afford a baby. Babies cost money. The older they get, the more they cost. What do they think they're going to use for money? You heard him tonight, didn't you? When I asked him if he had the contract, he said no. But did that faze him? Oh, no. He just stood there looking cute. Cute. And he's the one who's going to be the father. Well, I'll tell you something. If he's got any idea that I'm going to pay for it, he's got another thing coming. I just got through paying for the wedding.
But, Stanley...
And another thing, I think they ought to wait.
Wait for what?
For 7 or 8 years, that's what. What do they know about children? Why, Kay's just a child herself. Here she gets out of college, marries the first guy she comes in contact with. Now she's saddled with a baby.
Stanley Banks, you listen to me. I left school to marry you. Do you remember that? And do you remember when we were married? Of course you don't. We were married on the 4th of September.
What's that got to do with
And do you remember when Kay was born?
The 21st of June.
Exactly. While my class was up there on the platform graduating, I was home having a baby.
Well, I don't...
Oh, Stanley, I know they haven't money and the apartment is small, but those things don't really matter, do they? The important thing is that we're going to have a grandchild. Darling, it's like getting a dividend.
It's like getting a dividend.
Yeah, something comes to you and you don't even lift a finger. You have none of the responsibilities of a baby, none of the hardships. All you have to do is love it. Hello? Ruth, I have the most marvelous news for you. I'm going to be a grandmother. Yes, isn't that divine? Oh, we're so excited. Yes, Kay told us about it tonight.
Ellie didn't seem to mind the idea. Maybe women were different, but when I thought a grandfather, why, I was the guy who was going places. The whole world of adventure was waiting, just waiting for me to give it the nod. And now a grandfather. I thought of the other grandfathers I knew. Why, they were old men. A toothless old codger down the street. That client of ours whose only fun was cutting people out of his will. Those ancient dodos at the club. You'd have to use a stethoscope to be sure they were still living. I didn't belong with them. I wasn't ready for the mothballs yet. Why, I hadn't even begun to live. The only trouble with me was I was a little out of condition. I spent the next afternoon in the gym. That evening, I felt like $1 million. But the next morning, I felt closer to 100.